Well, I'm here with the Morgan Micheletti. Morgan, it is so great to see you. Last time I saw you, we were jumping off a pier in Copenhagen.
We were. It was wild, it was cold, but definitely a memory that I'll always cherish.
Now, Morgan, what people may not know is that the funky jacket that you jumped off that pier with was actually a loaner. It wasn't custom tailored to you, but we thought, you know, you were really a great sport about it. You ought to join the Funky Jacket Club, and that's what we're doing today.
Well, wow, that's amazing.
You do look stunning, sir, but we are going to get you funked up just a little bit more if that's all right.
Let's do it.
All right. All right, there we are, Morgan.
Get rid of this one.
Okay.
The unveiling of the Funky Jacket. Drum roll, please.
Spanish.
All right, that is sick. I love it. Ooh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Awesome.
Look at that. Well, Morgan, I myself have done something special here today. This is the first time I'm wearing a funky shirt inside a funky jacket.
You know, I love that mixed modality approach. It's the same approach we take in MIGS sometimes too, right? So yeah, I love it. I love it.
Well, speaking of which, you know, you've been a really strong advocate for earlier procedural intervention in glaucoma. What's the vibe of that right now? What's the momentum?
Yeah, I think it's really building. You know, as we continue to have more and more devices, more and more options, and at the same time, we build our safety and efficacy data, it's an obvious next step that adoption continues to increase, right? We're gonna continue to get patients off of drops, not only just freeing them from their drops, but saving them from their own lack of compliance. And we know patients aren't compliant. And so we can bring stability to their fields and everything else, while at the same time reducing that burden.
Absolutely.
That's the whole goal of interventional glaucoma. It's improving the patient's quality of life by maintaining their vision, decreasing dependence on drops.
You could just make them a funky jacket. I heard that increases quality of life as well, but hey, you do you, Morgan. What do surgeons still need to overcome before interventional glaucoma becomes a true first-line option?
Yeah, you know, for whatever reason, if you look at the history of ophthalmology and ophthalmologists, we seem to be on this 9 to 12 year adoption cycle, where when something stares us in the face and we know that it's better, whether that was converting from RK to PRK, PRK to LASIK, so on and so forth, or just from intracaps, extracaps to phaco, even now we look at the LIGHT trial back in 2019 and we still don't have SLT as first line in the majority of surgeons' hands. But if you look at the history, I do think we're going to get there. I think we're about 3 to 4 years away before mass adoption really takes place. And all of the other devices will follow. Once that door is opened with SLT and that adoption is really taken in and we realize how beneficial it is for our patients, then all the next steps are quite intuitive.
I remember when we were up there in Copenhagen on that pier, we were about to jump in. You were looking at me like, are you doing it first? There was a little bit of trepidation, at least on my part. And it occurred to me, you know, like, is there trepidation going through the minds of ophthalmologists when they consider IG for the first time? And how about patients? Are they equally as, you know, timid?
Not surprising, surgeons are a little hesitant to try something new sometimes, right? You have that bell curve of surgeons. You have those at the front end that always want to be first and try, and they're always pushing boundaries. Then you have the middle that are looking to go second because they want to wait for a little more data, a little more experience in the field, and then you have those that really never adapt. We're not trying to change the minds of those that are never going to adapt, but we hope that 80 to 90% of surgeons in our field will, as evidence grows, decide to jump in. And it is a bit of a leap, but we don't have to just do angle surgery in conjunction with cataract surgery. We know that now, we see that now. Just like we're trying to not just do one approach. We want to do trabecular bypass. We want to do our canaloplasty and open up the distal collector channels. We also want to do procedural pharmaceuticals. These all act in different ways. And by doing a multimodal approach, we can further decrease the overall progression and increase stability in terms of the patient's vision and pressure. There's so many different ways to get started. There's so many different eye models now. There's wet labs at ASCRS, at the Academy, at all of these different places where you can get your hands wet with interventional glaucoma, get hands-on training with those of us who love doing it, and we can teach you how to take that dive because it's what's best for your patients.
Presbyopia correction feels like the frontier everyone's racing towards. From your perspective, which approaches feel, say, genuinely transformative and which might be hype?
So diffractive technology is actually phenomenal technology. And I feel very confident in our current generation, especially now with PanOptix Pro.
Yeah.
You know, we're increasing light utilization, but we are going to hit a point of maximum output from a diffractive optic. And we know that that theoretical light utilization is 96%. And we're at 94% now with PanOptix. So I think what's going to be interesting over the next 9 to 10 years is trying to figure out where do we go from here?
Yeah.
Because we have great options right now, but what's next? And I think it's going to be this whole return to physiology as we try to come up with some sort of fully accommodative lens. But when we look at the future, it's going to be a step back. Because we have to think back to the early multifocal days and how different of a time it was and how much of a learning curve it was for surgeons. It's gonna be the same thing with these new accommodative IOLs. They're gonna be large incisions. They're gonna be kind of clunky. We're gonna have different and new concerns with those lenses as we try to progress our field and get closer and closer to that truly perfect lens.
And Morgan, you've built instruments, led research, even launched a podcast. So what keeps you chasing that next idea? And how do you choose which problems are worth solving?
That's a great question. But I think all of these things together, it's just exciting, right? Like I want to be able to go into clinic and be excited about whatever technology I'm talking to my patients about. And I want to believe in it. And I think that being part of clinical trials is a really key way to stay involved and to understand what's coming next and to keep your hands in a little bit of everything. So that stuff excites me because it allows me to see what's next, what's on the forefront. With the podcast, the whole idea was just to remind us of the past, remind us all, because a lot of surgeons my age don't know where we came from and the struggles that were. And I think we are doomed to repeat history if we don't learn from it. And so I think a lot of the early challenges that our kind of forefathers and foremothers faced in terms of this field, there are some really valuable lessons, especially as we go to jump into the next generation of premium lenses, hopefully with a fully accommodative option. And then in terms of device design, I kind of take this this garage workshop approach. I think one of the best things we can do is take a step back. And for me, that's going into my workshop. And saying, okay, if I had this problem and I was doing some woodworking or some repair, electrical, whatever it was that I was working on, how would I approach this in my garage? And that's how I came up with the IOL punch. I've got a new dual blade that MST is going to start hopefully distributing next year. All of these things were really founded in the workshop.
WWMGD, what would my garage do?
Something like that.
Bumper sticker.
That's right.
Nice. Well, Morgan, now that you are officially part of the Funky Jacket Club, I gotta ask, what's next? Another innovation, another jump? What are we talking about?
Well, as you may or may not know, I recently sent about 135 IOLs to the International Space Station, and I have a pretty good partnership with Space Center Houston. And through that partnership, we're now hopefully working with some in the space industry. And we'll have to come back and see if I was right, but I'm bullish on potentially going to space in 26 or 27. So we'll see. The goal is the first surgery in space. There's a lot of work to do between now and then, but it's an ambitious goal, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there into the world.
Well, I'm gonna throw down right now, Morgan, and say, if you can wear this under your space suit, we will start a Funky Jacket line.
Oh, I love it. I'm in.
All right. Hey, handshake?
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining the program, Morgan.
Appreciate it. Thank you.